basic concept of the fighter's paradox, which is essentially how do you balance the variety of techniques that you know to how often you practice those particular techniques. Now, some martial arts, which will remain nameless for diplomatic reasons, practice loads and loads of offences against something as simple as a wrist grab. Now, is it important to know how to disarm or escape from a wrist grab? Absolutely. But if you practice 10,000 different techniques from escaping from a wrist grab and then somebody grabs you by the neck, are you prepared enough? Probably not. Famous quote from Bruce Lee is that he would rather not face the person who's practiced one kick 10,000 times instead of the person who's practiced 10,000 kicks once on each kick, because that person with the one kick is going to be pretty solid. However, if you have somebody who knows how to defend against that kick, that person who can do the same kick 10,000 times, all of their skills suddenly becomes irrelevant. So it's all about getting the balance of variety and skill. So it's all about, do you practice one technique 10,000 times or 10,000 techniques once? In a second, me and Charlie are going to go over to the mats. We're going to show you an example of a trapping technique, some kicking techniques, some punching techniques, some grappling techniques, and some weapon techniques. And that basically covers the 5 areas that you might want to get a little bit of understanding in first, before you move on to getting a more developed understanding in any particular one of them.
So first of all, an example of some boxing or kickboxing techniques is a simple blocking system followed by some punching or kicking combinations. Boxing combinations are extremely good for their simplicity. Kicks are extremely powerful and they are your longest range when you're not armed with a weapon. Trapping is probably the least well known of all technical groups. It's a fantastic way of making sure that your opponent can't put up a decent guard against you. So if you're being attacked, you want to make sure that you can return that damage to your attacker, and trapping is the way to do it. Grappling and wrestling systems are counted amongst the oldest martial arts and competitions and sports from countries around the globe. It's absolutely no surprise their significance and relevance in a modern self-defense or fighting situation. So let's have a look at combining these skills into a technique we can use to protect ourselves against an attack. In this case, it's a punch to the face. So now we're going to have a look at the use of weapon training in self-defense, and the strategy is usually very simple. Disarm your attacker first and incapacitate them afterwards, making sure they can't pick up the weapon and attack you again. In the case of most weapons, and certainly in the case of knives, we're not allowed to carry them around to defend ourselves in public, and so there's a very strong chance that you're going to be unarmed when you're facing somebody who attacks you with a knife. As a result, you should learn a lot of unarmed tactics versus knife to improve your chances of survival. And following on from what I said earlier on, here is a very simple wrist grab release, which I can then use to set up loads of different finishes against my opponent. I only need to learn the one wrist grab release from any given situation, and then I can use everything that I know to make sure that my target doesn't attack me again.